It's a wonder that I'm the only one in this podcast that likes good games. Super Mario Brothers Wonder, today on.
That's some grade A bullshit.
Don't talk over the intro.
You're going to talk over the pre-recorded intro.
Don't curse, son. We got you two up, and there's no reason for you to have it up.
Welcome over to another episode of Press B to Cancel. It's your favorite retro podcast, except this week we are not talking retro. Who'd have thought? No, this week we're talking about what I think is one of the best games in the franchise, certainly the best in the franchise of recent memory. Super Mario Brothers Wonder for the Nintendo Switch just came out the other week. And now, not alone, because it's just me talking. It's just really a boring episode. So I got three other guys who I know are die-hard Mario fans just like myself. Sinistar, how are you doing this week?
Doing well. I am, in fact, a die-hard Mario fan. Get your bingo cards.
And Chardmonk, how are you doing this week?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me on this episode. I do not have any of my Mario paraphernalia or contraband up at this time, but I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy, so that makes me infinitely qualified to talk about this.
I just got bingo.
Pointing at a shelf, talking about Final Fantasy.
Uh-huh.
It's
that was my last square. That was my last square.
Usually Elden Ring's the first one.
And also joined by Wolf. Wolf, how you doing this week?
I'm doing all right. I think you misinterpret the situation this week, sir.
Well, okay, look. Let's start off with.
I think he's heard more of Sinistar, in my opinion, than yours. So.
Let's start off with.
I have not said a word in MPs about this.
We've noticed.
And on purpose.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start off with, first off, Mario Wonder came out, and it's not a long game. It's a 2D Mario game, and much like those, you can usually beat it within 12 hours or so. I did beat it this morning, actually, and I think I ended up around 14, but that's because I'm terrible at these games. So I've beaten it. How about you guys? Sinister, how far did you get in Mario Wonder?
I have made it to basically kind of the second area. You go through the desert, you then end up in the Isles, and then I went north from the Isles, and I've done the first area there. So okay. I don't know how many levels that is. That's probably 12 or 13 levels at this point.
Okay, so you've beaten World 1, and you're kind of into the hub area. So
yeah,
Chard, how far did you get?
I got to the swimming area, which I think is the second area that you can get into after like the initial kind of showing off everything. And I'm in the hub area as well. We got rid of one of the floating piranha plants around the castle, and then did I want to say 3 or 4 levels beyond like the startup. So, but I did dig pretty deep in the first area because I wanted to try and get all the wonder seeds. So.
Okay, so also in the hub area. What about you, Wolf?
I kind of did about the same thing. I did everything in the first world except for get one wonder seed. I went back a couple times looking for it, couldn't figure out where it was. And then moved on to the sort of hub world area, which I do find interesting that like it's not as cut and dry World 1, World 2, World 3, World 4, and instead there's a hub world after World 1 where there's levels, and they expect you to find your way to World 2, I guess, through
Yes,
that.
And it is interesting. So you're right. So you beat World 1, and then the game opens up into the Petal Isles, which is the center of the map, and that's where you'll see Bowser. And we'll talk about the story briefly in a minute. And yeah, you kind of navigate around the hub isles to get to the different worlds. It's mostly on rails in the beginning for first couple worlds, but once you've beaten World 3, it actually opens up and it says, hey, now you can go to worlds 4, 5, or 6, and you can do them in any order you want. And I end up doing them out of order just cause. So that was kind of interesting, and that's kind of different, I think, in some games. I guess Mario World maybe, I think, let you kind of do worlds out of order. And there's definitely a lot of inspiration, I feel, in Mario World versus this. But yeah, you can totally do them in numbered order 1 through 7, or you can break it up in the last half. So for those who aren't aware, this game is a decent-sized Mario game. There are 6 regular worlds. Then there's the hub world. And then there's kind of like a 7th world, Bowser's world. Although Bowser's more on rails, there's only a handful of levels. They kind of actually tied in Bowser's world and the final handful of stages with the hub world levels, the Petal Isles it's called. So it's kind of interesting. There's also which is it's the reason why I ask you how far you got, because when I first started playing this game, for the first couple hours, my kind of reaction was, it's good, mechanically good. It's a Mario game. It's good. I mean, it's nothing, not game of the year. It's not going to break any molds. It was good. But then I started getting later stages, and there's a lot of callbacks to other games in the franchise. And one of the big ones was there's a special world, straight out of Mario World, where each of the different worlds has a hidden path of stages you can unlock, and it takes you to a separate map for it's a special world, and the levels there are hard as frickin' hell. Like, it's unbelievably hard, and they're hard in a fun way. And it wasn't until I got a special world that this game really kind of got its hooks into me good. So I'm kind of wish you guys got a little bit further. Just got to that first special world stage, but it's okay. But so for what you guys played from the first world, what do you guys think of the opening to this game, the opening stages? How was it? Do you feel like there was too much of a tutorial and hand holding, or do you think they kind of got into it right away?
It
Who wants to go
feels.
first?
Oh,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
knew this
Go
was
ahead.
going to happen.
Nope. Go ahead, Wolf.
What?
I
Wolf,
think,
you
I
got
think
it.
Wolf goes first.
I thought you were going to
Okay.
say someone. Who do you think picking person to talk first?
I'm not
instead
good
of
at this,
all of
All
us?
Chard.
three of us went, ah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll pick on people next time.
Okay,
Yeah, I
I want
well,
to hear Wolf's opinion. Go ahead.
I do want to start. I don't feel like it's super hand-holdy, though the flowers are pretty. There's okay. We should preface this for people who have not played the game. There are little flowers that just have little bits of commentary here and there, and sometimes they'll tell you to do something. Like when you first get the hat badge, the glide badge or whatever they call it. There's a little flower that's like, just hold R to glide, and he follows that up with, what is R anyway?
Yeah.
Like, so
cute.
it's not
Yeah.
super handholdy. It's a little tongue-in-cheek cheesy, but like they don't expect you to just sit there and hang around and press while it blatantly and boringly tells you exactly how things work. Instead, it's just like, hey, this is how you do it. Good luck. And that's that, right? You don't even have to hang
Right.
out and listen to the spiel. And as you're going, the little flowers will sometimes clue you into things. But for the most part, like you said, you can turn off their sound to
You can,
where
yes.
I imagine then their just little text box would pop up instead.
I think I didn't. So here's the thing with the flowers. I thought I would hate them. I thought they'd be annoying, but I actually didn't mind them so much. So I left them on. But I know that I did see the options to change their language, so you can have them spout Japanese at you, but still have English captions, or you can turn off the dialogue entirely. But I think you're right. I think the text box would probably still be there, although I'm not quite sure. I will say that you're right. It's not like they're hitting you over the head with a bat of tutorials like they usually do. Nintendo games usually are really heavy-handed with the tutorial systems, but I like what they did with Wonder. The opening was fairly quick and got you into the game, and they kind of break down the mechanics kind of easygoing with the flowers. But I mean, it's also a Mario game. So I mean, if you played a Mario game, especially one of the modern 2D versions in the last 10 years, you kind of know what to expect, right? It's 2D platforming. You run, you jump. There's a flagpole. There's 3 coins to collect, and then there's some kind of item that you can find called Wonder Seeds. So I felt it was pretty straightforward and kind of easy to get into. But they could have hit you with a lot more dialogue, unskippable dialogue, as I think is Nintendo's tradition. But they didn't in this case. You can even skip the intro if you want, which is surprising for me. Sister, what do you think about the? Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I do want to mention, like, I feel like the game doesn't ham-handedly force you to read a bunch of dialogue unnecessarily. That was actually a problem I had with Tears of the Kingdom. Sometimes characters would just go on and on and on and say absolutely nothing. And I was like, please make it stop. And in this, like, there's not a ton of dialogue. When somebody has something to say, you maybe have to push the button 2-3 times, unless it's like very early on where they're like explaining how badges work, which that was the only time that I felt like they went on a little too long. And even then, it was like, 4 or 5 boxes of dialogue to explain that you can equip a badge and they do magical stuff. Okay, cool. But otherwise, no, it's not sitting there making you read a ton of exposition or explanation of what's happening in the world or whatever. They're just like, these are poplins, and that's that. Like, They're just like everything's very casual and matter of fact instead of this is this and here's why these are called this blah blah blah. They don't do any of that,
No,
which I appreciate. They're
they're
just
like
like
toads
it's
but flowers.
weird Mario World. Have fun.
Yeah. Sinistar, what about you? What do you think of the opening of the game?
Well, first off, I want to call out that I have a feeling that GP probably is going to hate at least one aspect of this game because of the name Poplin. Anyway, um, GP will get it. I'm not going to explain it. It's his issue. Um,
Wow.
okay, so if we're talking the intro, first off, I want to say that the intro animation, spoiler alert, although it's stupid early in the game, Bowser becomes a castle and farts out piranha plants.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
I'm never
I'm-
playing this again. Thanks for
I'm not
ruining that.
kidding. Farts out piranha plants. But the animation, like there's a part where he starts flying toward the screen and it honestly was like, oh, that's a little bit scary. Mario,
Personal bubble. Personal bubble.
yeah, right. No, okay, so I'm gonna disagree that the dialogue is not too much because I absolutely got tired of the little segmented worm prince dude talking at
Caterpillar.
me after
caterpillar.
yeah,
Worm
whatever.
Prince.
After every single level. I got so tired of it. It's like literally I finish a level and it's like he pops out of my skull wherever he's living in my head.
Where worms typically live.
Yeah,
In the ears. Yeah.
Apparently this is Wrath of Khan. But and like I just kind of was like, I just want to move on to the next level. I kind of missed like Super Mario Brothers 1, where like there's no dialogue between levels, and it just like I get to go play the next one. It's like, shut up, shut up, shut up. I want to move. Like, I get that you're letting me select stuff, but I kind of feel like, I don't know, open world 2D Mario feels a little weird. And I know anyway. But
Well,
that said, I'm going to lay this out because I feel like Jake misinterprets what I say in our Marco Polos when we chat. I like this game. I actually like this game. I pull this game out while I'm like in between work things and like I play a level and I'm like, hey, that was fun. And then I put it away until I have, my next, break between meetings or whatever. And then I, play another one. I like this
Right.
game. Do I think it's an amazing game? No.
And
No.
we'll get there.
Wonderful game.
But when you've
But
only
the
played the
intro-
first hour, I had totally had the same opinion. I thought, yeah, like you, great, it's good. Pick up, play, level here and there. It's fun. It's a Mario game. It
Yeah.
wasn't until much later that it kind of got its hooks in. But I'm glad you don't hate the game.
I do feel like it's incredibly disjointed so far because there's no real continuity between levels. It's like, okay, this level has rhinos. Okay, this one has hoppos. Okay, this one has fish. Okay, this one has birds that shoot bridges out of their noses. Okay, like
Yeah, but that's Mario. I mean,
Yeah,
but
Yeah,
exactly.
well,
if you look at Mario World, it's exactly like that. Mario World does the exact same thing. It's the only one that really stuck to heavily themed was probably Mario 3. Like
Hmm.
they haven't done the heavily themed thing since then so much.
Oh,
Like
the better
I
Mario
always-
World.
Yeah.
I always felt like World was pretty themed by like kind of the area
Well,
you were in.
Kind
to a
of, but
degree,
yeah.
yes. But I mean, in Donut Plains, you do have like, for an example, you've got the ghost house, you've got the cave level right off the bat almost, and then on the first island level in Yoshi's Island area, you've got the level with the giant bonsai bills and all that, and it's very Bullet Bill themed. And then you've got another stage the other way that's a bunch of moles, Monty moles, right? And then as you continue on through the main level area, you've got a water stage. Like it's not
Sure.
really themed so much. There's big jarring changes, and this kind of does that. but I feel like we're so much further into game development. Nintendo has grown so much. I feel like there should be a little bit more straightforward theming than there is this time around.
I think you nailed something on the head too. I haven't hit a ghost house yet, and that's disappointing.
So
No, seriously, that's disappointing.
Well, that's because Mario hasn't gone around smashing all the brick people of the
yeah,
kingdom.
he's not a straight up
So
murderer.
there's
in this
no
game.
house of ghosts.
You want to talk about
Yeah.
a theme to tie in? Let's talk about all the people that are haunting the ghost house that are used to be bricks.
So-
You know what? I miss the one that's the flappy tongue. Like,
I don't think he's in this one. I gotta say. Oh, actually, there is a door enemy that does the tongue thing. It's like a
Okay.
mimic door. So there is that
Well,
at least.
do
So
I-
you get the tongue
do I
action
get-
some way.
Do I get haunted houses at some point?
You do, but so unlike Mario 3 and Mario World, there is not an airship every world. There's not a ghost house every world. There are ghost ships or ghost houses and airships in the game, but not every world will have both. So it's kind of different, at least from what I've found. There are stages in worlds I've not yet done. Even though I've beaten the game, I have not gotten every single stage because some of the stuff is hidden because I haven't done all of Special World yet. So there are definitely the tropes from Mario World and 3, but not all the time. And I don't mind that. I like that. I don't necessarily want to have to do like, underwater land and have to do like 12 underwater stages all at once. That would break me. That would drive me nuts.
That's fair. And that's one of the things
Yeah.
I liked about World
Even
is
with the
World
dolphin kick badge.
World had kind of its formula where it was like, okay, there's a regular level, okay, there's a haunted house, okay, there's an underwater, okay, there's a castle. Like it was kind of themed in every single area. And so far, I'm struggling to find theme, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Right. Char, what about you? What do you think?
Oh, go ahead, Wolf. Jake's
Oh, I
not
was
gonna
gonna
like my
say it
answer,
just-
so you go ahead.
I was just gonna say it seems more like set dressing than it does level design theming, I guess.
It's fair.
Anyway, go ahead, Chard.
So let me premise my
Preface
my
or
statement.
premise?
Whatever. We're just listen.
Well,
It's early. It's an
yeah.
early Friday, okay?
Yeah.
Most of us literally just got done with work.
It's too early
We're
in the
trying
week
to-
for this fake Friday. We
Trying to
can't do
hammer this out. I like how Jake played this for a couple hours, I think, until it really got him hooked. And yet he won't give the game of the year more than like 45 minutes because he's bored with the main characters. I'm gonna just let that marinate. The opening of the game is cool. It's a Mario game. To argue Sinistar's point about disjointedness, when Mario fires up now, it's almost expected to just be wacky. Like it's just like, oh, it's Mario. And I did like I I hate the goddamn flowers, but I'll cover that later. I did like the fact, as to Wolf's point, that it's like, here you go. It's Mario. Have fun. There's a few things that I like. There were things where I was like finding it out as I was playing, like the spin jump. Didn't realize it was a shoulder jump, and I pressed that and went, "Oh, there's stuff up here too." But like, there's not a there's I don't feel like there's any hand holding. I think there's a little like, "Hey, here I'm gonna throw you a bone," and then you just play. And I thought that was cool. And I found like looking for the wonder seeds. I felt the replayability on a lot of levels. I had watched Purse play this when it first came out, and when I rated him a couple nights ago. Well, I think it was like when it was released, and so I watched him play like kind of the opening area, and then I went and played the levels I watched him play, and it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And that whole Stampede, the Bull Rush Stampede
Right.
level where you drop down underground and you get the wonder seed, and then you ride the Bull Rush all the way out.
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
cool.
neat.
That was neat,
Yeah.
right? That's some cool stuff. And there's some hidden things in that area, and I wanted to see more power-ups early on. Now I know there's more. The deeper in you get, I know there's more, but it's like, here's Fire Mario, expected, and here's Elephant Mario, new feature. Cool. Both are cool. I like the feature that you can hold water in your trunk and you can water the flowers and it unlocks some things, or it'll give you a wonder seed, or or it just gives you coins. Like there's different variations. So you're always like, oh, there's a dead flower. Oh, I need to go find the elephant power up so I can water the plants and see what it does. I was doing that without even thinking about it, and I found myself replaying a lot of the levels because I wanted to, because I'm a completionist. I want 100% everything, and if I see that little dotted outline of a wonder seed over a world, I like I had to force myself to leave the first area because it's like I need to play more so I can have more of a basis to discuss this instead of, yeah, I got stuck in the first area because I couldn't leave until I did everything. And that doesn't have to be the case, right? So I was I was kind of meh at first. The flowers were annoying as hell. I don't like people telling me every 5 seconds what's going on while I'm running around a world. And some of the jokes are super cheesy to a point
Oh
to
yeah.
even where I was kind of like, come on, dude. You want to know what the salt water tastes like? You're a fucking flower growing on the coast. As far as I'm concerned, as far as we're all concerned, you're drinking that shit right up your plant butt. But it's a whole nother story altogether. I I don't think it's a top 5 Mario game, but it was a fun platformer. I'm not the biggest platformer on the planet, so my opinion is kind of like going to be jaded anyways because I'm like not super platformer guy. But it was fun. It was fun. It was entertaining. I was playing it for 45 minutes straight, and if I hadn't been so tired from work, I would have kept on going. But I had to go to bed because I had to get up early. So I was like, it's probably a good place to cut it. So I wanted to keep going, but I'm not drawn back to it. I think I'm a lot like Sinistar, where it's kind of like, hey, I got a free couple minutes. Maybe I'll do a level or two. But it's not like I sit at work going, oh my God, I want to go home and play this like right now. So it's good. It's a good game, but it's Mario. It's another Mario game, but it's not it's weird, but it's not like outlandishly weird. Does
I'm
that make sense? I mean,
It's
something
it's
weird
that
the
you
though.
Mario realm that I
something
It's
that
experience.
you
weird.
something that you kind of alluded to is like I guess I've been kind of waiting for that wow moment. Like I
Yeah.
don't remember if it was the DS or the 3DS Mario that had the one where you got the giant mushroom and you became massive and you crushed the level. When I
Right.
first did that, I was like, "Oh, that's cool as hell!" Like that was like my exploding brain moment,
Right.
right? And I haven't found that yet, right?
Right. I like the
Okay.
boss battle. I thought the first boss battle with Kid Bowser or
Sure,
Little
yeah,
Bowser
Bowser
that was
Jr.
Jr.
cool.
there.
Yeah.
Junior, yeah.
I thought that was kind of neat. That was cool where, you fight him normal and then he gets really small
Uh huh.
and
And you
then you
get
hit
bit.
him and it gets really
Yeah.
big, and like the size differentiation was cool. I thought that was a cool. I'd like to see what the other boss battles look like. But the same thing with Sinistar. I want to see a haunted house. I want to see, an airship level. I want to see the stuff that's standardized. And most of you guys, as my friends, know me pretty well that if you throw anything nostalgic
Hmm.
or a callback to something somewhere in the game, it's gonna hook me real good. And
Right.
I wish it was earlier on. And it's the first area. So
Yeah, that's the thing.
they're not gonna give you all the red Skittles in the first area. You gotta eat a couple limes. You gotta have a couple yellows. You gotta eat through the oranges before you can get to the purples and the reds. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
gonna
You
Skittle
gotta
skip.
snort a
Those are
few
the
lines
worst of
before you
them.
can engage those poppins, That's just the way it is. I hear you.
Right, right.
I
So
Sorry,
I
love
Wolf,
a
go
don't
ahead.
I
hate this
love a
game.
yellow Skittle.
I jokingly told Jake that I hated this game, and it was merely to poke fun. It's good. I don't think it's a top 5 Mario, but I think it's a good Mario. It's a good platformer, and it was entertaining. I'd watch
I
someone
mean,
play this. Absolutely watch someone play
hon honestly, I'm gonna throw this
this.
out there. Is there a bad 2D Mario? Is there?
Yes.
Maybe Super Mario Brothers 2
Yes.
Japanese? Maybe?
Like I would argue Lost Levels is probably a bad Mario game,
Well,
but
Are you
that did
talking
not
okay.
come
about
out
the
here.
original Lost Levels or the re-release Lost Levels?
Both are I think are not great. The
Sure, but
difficulty
let's
spike is too
let's
much. But anyway.
let's ta I mean, but that was original Japanese Mario 2, right? I
Yes.
mean, so
And
yes. Okay,
since yes.
we can argue that one, but aside from that one, is there a bad 2D Mario game?
So
Mm,
yes.
I would.
I'm gonna say
I'm
yes before you
interested.
speak, Wolf. All
I'm
right. So
interested to hear what you have to say about this, just because I don't think there is.
So I the point about there not being a bad Mario, like an awful Mario game, I get it because Mario is usually
2D,
universally controls well.
2D,
Yeah, 2D Mario
2D.
specifically.
Okay, even
There are
that
bad
because
3D Mario games.
I know people. I hate Sunshine too, but there's an
Sunshine.
argument for that one.
Sunshine.
But even 2D. So here's the thing, and here's why I like this game so much. When I first played it, I just thought it was going to be yet another 2D Mario game like they've been releasing for the last 10 years. I don't know if you guys have played. I mean, Sinister, you played the new Super Mario Brothers on the 3DS. That's great.
Yeah,
What you played is what they did 3 times over the last 10 years. It
sure.
wasn't until we got Super Mario 3D World that they kind of started breaking the mold. New Super Mario Brothers in the Wii, it's not bad. Okay, the controls, it's Mario. It controls really tight. It is what it is. But the worlds in that game were so dull and so lackluster. The power up was you grab an acorn and you're Squirrel Mario. Your power, you can glide. We've seen it before. The power ups were boring. The worlds were unforgettable. The levels were not really they were not inspired. It didn't feel like there's anything new or fresh to the table. It was a very bland Mario game. It's one of the first Mario games in years that didn't even bother to finish. And they did it again by re-releasing it as Super Luigi Brothers, where they took Luigi and they kind of remixed the levels. A little more interesting, but still a very bland and I would say a bad Mario game. Does it control bad? No, absolutely not. But is it a good game? I
Okay.
don't think so.
I haven't played
Hard
those, so I
argument.
can't.
I have a hard time imagining bad controlling on a 2D Mario game because they're all very similar. Now, and again, I don't play a lot of Mario outside of like World and 3 and Galaxy, but
There have been some muddy controls on some of them.
Like
fair.
There
Luigi
have
and Mario
been.
2. I mean, I know people don't mind it, but I can't stand Luigi and Mario 2.
I beat Mario 2 with Luigi. That was not that bad.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
there's no accounting for taste.
Luigi is the hang in the air, right? Or no,
Yeah,
No,
that's
that's
bicycle
Peach.
kick.
floaty.
No, Luigi's the super
Yeah.
jump.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
floaty
he's-
jump.
Yeah, not like jump and then hover, but like his
No, it's
jump is
the-
really
Yeah.
low gravity.
Oh, that's
floaty
right.
thing.
And his legs do like the.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what's neat though about this game though is it does have a lot of callbacks. Even though there's multiple characters in Mario Wonder. I think there's like 8 characters. Half of them are your kids characters which don't take damage. So that's the Yoshis and Nabbit. That's fine.
But they
But the
also
main
don't get some of
characters-
the power ups.
Yeah, they don't get the power-ups at all. But Yoshi is Yoshi. Yoshi can ride
He
another Yoshi,
eats
which is
everything.
interesting. And he eats everything.
he does-
Nabbit, I
he-
think, is just faster.
He does
but-
this cool little jump.
Yes. So he has that. But the other characters, Peach, Daisy, which is the first time she's playable, Toads,
That's
I think
awesome.
all those characters, they all it's not like Mario 2 where they have different abilities. They're all basically
Yeah.
the same, but you can at
It's
least
just
pick
skin.
them.
It's just skin and vocals,
Yeah.
right?
But what
Yeah.
they did instead is they have the badge system, which is really interesting. I wish they used it more, but it's really interesting. Half the badges are passive abilities. Things like you equip this one badge and it lets you see yellow exclamation blocks in levels to help make things a little bit easier, jump wise, sometimes new power ups. There's one's a coin magnet, lets you, collect coins. Another one's a dolphin kick, so you can swim faster. But then they also have one that gives you a ducking charge jump straight out of Mario 2. Another one of the badges gives you the fluttery jump kick or jump, just like Luigi, just like that.
Wall jump.
Or wall jump,
vertical
yeah.
wall jump. Yeah.
Because you can wall jump by default, but
And
the wall jump
bounce
badge
off.
lets you
But
bounce.
yeah, it's
yeah,
a bounce off instead of a
yeah.
jump up on things.
Yeah.
But there's also one that gives you a vine grappling hook, which is like reminding me very much of the messenger, and I love the fucking messenger. So they added a bunch of badges. You can only take one, which is like, I mean, I understand it, but it's neat that it lets you pick how your one bonus when you're playing these levels, or not pick it at all. Like half the time I was using the badge that made you big at the start of the stage because I hate dying and
Oh,
you
that
lose
was a
your
good
power
one.
ups and you start with
That
nothing.
one, that one I pretty much sat on that one too.
Yeah, and it's a nice one. Like the game's hard enough. I don't need to start as small Mario every freaking time I die. So I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
But I like the badge system in the game. So they kind of brought in some of those abilities. So right off the bat, Mario Wonder has more variety and abilities than the past games in most recent memory. Because like we said, you have in Fire Mario, Squirrel Mario. I mean, it was kind of boring. In this one, at least you have fire, bubble, drill, and elephant. And even
I
Elephant
did get
Mario
drill.
is actually
did
more
get
interesting than you might think it is, right? Break certain
Yeah.
bricks that other characters can't. The water
Sure.
mechanic, right? There's more to it.
You
Attack is
can-
in an
you can
arc,
actually-
for example.
Yeah. You can run
Yeah.
across certain bridges, stuff like that.
Yes.
You can kill
Um,
dry bones as Elephant Mario too.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
So that's
But-
neat. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, there is that adage of, less is more. And that's kind of what I'm feeling a little bit right now is like I love World. World actually has a pretty small subset of skins
You
and
have two.
abilities that you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally just got 2. It's got the feather
And
or cape,
and
and then it's
and
got
it
Fireflower.
and it feels complete. Like to
Well,
me it's great.
see, it's only got 2 when you factor that in, but it's got the Yoshis and their whole suite of abilities.
Yeah.
And
So
they
that's
change
where
Well,
colors and all that shit.
it
Yeah.
does
they
actually
put
have a
the
third.
power-ups behind the Yoshis, really.
It does
Mhm.
have a third. It has the P balloon that you actually swell up and float
Right.
freely.
But you only
Yeah,
use that
but
like
that's
twice though, right?
That
it's
feels
Yeah.
only a
a P
couple of
balloon
stages
just
that
it
make use
feels
of it.
like a P switch you bring with you. We're saying
Yeah.
P a lot.
There's stages in Mario Wonder that also have the P balloon analog in the game. There's a few stages that take advantage of it. So what I'm getting at, I guess, is there is more variety here. And when you would think that there's not enough variety, the wonder mechanic, right? So you guys briefly mentioned how there's at least 2 seeds in every stage. Some have 3, and one of the seeds is kind of
That's a
pseudo
trip.
hidden. Yeah, it's definitely a
Mhm.
trip, and that's the thing. That's why I said in Polo's offline when I first started playing this game, they really should have called Super Mario Brothers weird because I find it does get quite weird, and I think you do need to be high to appreciate some of this game because some of the stages are really fucking weird.
That's what I was
Right.
gonna say, is I think
Yeah,
maybe my issue is I'm not high enough when I'm playing this
Yeah, well, I
to
can't be because of
appreciate
my
it.
job, so
Yeah.
I
that's
just have to live vicariously.
I will say when you're in Wonder Flower mode is when those little talking flowers are at their best.
And they sing.
Yeah.
You're
Oh
They're
like,
my god.
what?
well, the singing piranha plants was very bizarre, and then you kill it with a
Oh,
fire flower, and that part, there's just, like, all of us now there's
Yeah.
no vocals for a moment until another
yeah,
flower pops out, which
yeah.
I thought was fun.
The
But the
Piranha
little
Parade was pretty
talking
good.
flowers, like, they're always just thrown for a loop by Wonder Flower mode. They live in this kingdom, yet Wonder Flower mode throws them off, right?
So
They're
Holy
like,
it's
shit!
"What
because
is this?
Bowser
What's going on?"
it's because Bowser messed up the balance of things and stole all the wonder power and is kind of leaking out. So that's why they don't know what's going on either. Everybody's just
They're,
confused about this pockets of wonder power.
they're
But
Towley from South Park. I'm so high right now.
It's the
it's the player
terrible
analog, right?
fucking time.
But I want to talk about a couple of the wonder. I'm not gonna. I don't want to spoil many of them because. But the thing is, here is while they may repeat the mechanic occasionally, there's like for example, there's one where you're riding the bulls. They repeat that in 2 stages. Out of 100 stages in the game, you see that twice, and the stages are very very different. But you have the idea of the running of the bulls coming after you. But the first one with just the pipes all of a sudden animating and arching the snake in their
Yeah.
way through the level
Yeah.
and you're riding it, that was
Yeah.
weird. The singing piranha plants,
What the
that was weird. The one that got me, it was a ghost house, and when you get the Wonder Seed, King Boo flies on the screen, massive, and is slowly chasing after you while singing opera, and everybody's singing as they chasing you through the ghost house. That was trippy.
I would like to see that. That would
Or
be
like
Yeah.
the
good to see.
ninjas from Mario Brothers 2. There's a couple stages where the ninjas are there, and they're not
Interesting.
enemies. I mean, you can kill them, but they're mostly there to dance, and you have to jump in time with the music to get through the levels, and they dance and cheer you on as you're jumping through the level. Like
All
it's
right.
batshit
All right.
crazy. Like there's a
All
lot
right.
of weird shit in this game.
I want to call
Ninja
out.
crazy.
I think Jake is making up levels to try to get me to play this more.
To
So
draw us back in. Yeah.
So let me tell you why this game speaks to me so much. One of the best games in the last 10 years is not the new Super Mario Bros. Series at all. It was Super Mario Maker, especially the first one on the Wii U. I love the hell of that one. The sequel was good, but it didn't get the support and the attention that the first one did.
It was
I love that
adequate.
game. Well, because I love Super Mario Maker because it took the level, it took the ability to make levels and took it out of the hands of Nintendo and gave it to the player base to do whatever the hell they wanted to. And did you guys play Mario Maker?
Yes, and what it
Oh, yeah.
did is it made it so that people went to Twitch streamers and said, "I'm going to troll the ever loving fuck out of you," and that's what that game did.
Some of
He's
them,
not wrong.
yes.
He's not wrong. If I
So
wanted to do Kaizo, I would go find a mod. I don't need to do it in Mario Maker. Thank you.
okay. Kaizo aside, Mario Maker brought us a couple different player-made subtype of genres in Mario Maker, right? You had music stages where the whole goal of the stage, it was an auto scroller with note blocks that played a tune as you went through the stage. Some players got really creative with the note blocks to play music in the game. That's in Mario Wonder as well. There's music stages, and the music they chose is the Metal Mario theme from 64, the bonus round theme from the SNES game. There's a theme from Galaxy that's in there. They took songs from the older games and added them to these bonus music levels. That's in there. Speedrun levels where you have, a short time to get through a stage. That was a big feature of Mario Maker.
I've
That's in
done
Wonder.
I've done 1 or 2 of those, and I do like like, chase. It's like you're chasing the coin or whatever, right? Like, you
Yeah,
or you're trying to outrun the caterpillar or whatever, yeah.
but the racing of the caterpillar. Yes, exactly. It's a
Mhm.
race. That's in
Yeah, that
Wonder.
was neat. I liked that.
The Mario Maker had a lot of people would make puzzle stages where you had to find these coins to unlock a key to get through the state to get to the end of the stage, and oftentimes maybe 1 or 2 screens, very small but very much puzzle like, hunt and find. That's in Mario Wonder. They made dedicated puzzle stages in Mario Wonder. There's so much that like, battle stages, battle arenas were very popular in Mario Maker, where you had to fight different ways of enemies
Mm.
to get to the end of the stage. That's in Mario Wonder. Nintendo took everything that was cool created by players, except for Kaizo. They didn't do Kaizo, and they made those. They took that as inspiration to make a lot of the stages in Mario Wonder. Are the worlds themed? No, you guys are totally right. Except for the map, right? You're in Cloud Puff Land. There's no difference from Magna level, really, except that the map is different and the music is different. But they took such a variety of ideas from Mario Maker and made it in Mario Wonder. I have not seen unique level design in a Mario game, especially a 2D Mario game, since Mario Maker, and that wasn't done by Nintendo folks. That was done by players. And that's why I think I got hooked so damn hard. I thought it was really
Now,
cool.
I wanna call out the ghost houses and the castles were the original puzzle levels before
Yes.
Mario Maker.
That's
Yeah.
true.
hmm But that's just the
That's
players
actually
taking that idea and kind of running with it, Mario Maker, and doing different versions of those kind of puzzle levels. And I guess just doing it in a way that Nintendo maybe didn't intend, right? Like, it's neat.
then I look forward to that because that's absolutely one of the things I love about the ghost house levels is the figuring out the correct order, the doors, or whatever. Like, what blocks do I hit? What coins do I either remove or not? Right? I love that in the
Yeah.
ghost houses.
And what I love about this game too is that they tell you the difficulty of the stage right there on the map. Right when you go to when you mouse over or your mouse over when you walk into a stage, it tells you this is a level 1 star level. This is a 4 star, a 5 star, 6 star, whatever it is. I like that because my kid's playing this game with me as well. And the issue that she had playing Super Mario 3D World, which 3D World's a great game, and at first you're playing 3D World and you have to collect stars, much like you're collecting seeds in Wonder. But in 3D World, you have to get damn well every single star. If you don't, you can't finish the game because you're gated for certain checkpoints to have a certain number of stars. It's very frustrating for a young kid to play that and not be able to finish the game. Like my daughter finished it after like a year, and she's a Mario Master after it all. But she got frustrated so many times and had to put the game away. It was just too hard. Mario Wonder has the seed checkpoints, but the seeds are for that specific world. So you need to get, 10 or 14 or 28 seeds in that world. When you get to the next world, it's a different set of seeds. Make it a little bit more accessible. You also don't need to get every seed. Do you want to? Yeah, because most of them are tied to the crazy wonder shit and it's fun to see. But you don't have to find all of them. You only need to roughly about half of them to beat the game, which I found was nice. I like that.
Your description of like it's hard and like you get like what your daughter went through. That was me with the Mario Brothers on the original Game Boy. That was that for me.
Right.
Is that Mario? Which one is that? Mario
Land.
Land?
Mario
Mario
Land.
Land?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
I remember that one.
fantastic game, but dear God, there are some spikes in that.
That's
The
with the
last
sphinxes
couple
and stuff,
worlds.
yeah?
Yes, that one.
Mhm.
Yeah. I remember
Yeah.
that one. That's
Well,
that
I
one.
mean, if you think back on it,
I spent a
Mario
lot of car rides
Land
with that game.
was really weird compared to Super Mario Brothers, right?
It's true.
For sure.
It's true.
Yeah.
And because what we think of as Super Mario Brothers is almost always set in the Mushroom Kingdom. And then Super Mario Land was like, nah, the Sand Kingdom. And it was just bizarre as hell. And
Yeah.
now this one
Yeah.
is in the Flower Kingdom, which again, it's just another weird kingdom in the world that is Mario. And so the rules are different there and
Yeah.
the experience is different there.
Or
So
or you talk Galaxy or Odyssey, and it's just every world, and it's
I
really
was gonna
weird.
say, Galaxy is like the last Mario that I really, really like got into. The first one, not the second one.
I think you'd
I
like
had the
Odyssey.
Wii.
I think
Odyssey's
you'd like Odyssey.
similar. Yeah.
And it's not the 3D aspect or anything. I just thought that it was real clever because every planet felt like a puzzle planet. Like, how
Yeah.
do I get to the star, or how do I
Uh-huh.
get to the next area? And
Mhm.
and it was kind of cool how they laid all that stuff out. And to jump from planet to planet, right? It was so seamless, and
Yeah.
that's in something that could be so clunky and so hard to execute. It just felt so seamless and smooth, not like, God, I'm waiting to get to the next area. You were just like, "Oh, I'm on the next goddamn planet." And
I
and
think you'd
just
like
the way it was designed is really cool.
I think you'd like Odyssey. Odyssey
Yeah.
feels like a progression of Galaxy. It really does.
Just a bit. There's more
Yeah,
moons instead of what Galaxy had for stars, but a lot of the moons are just you follow a dog. There's a moon. You go in there. There's a little mini puzzle thing. There's a moon. Like there's more moons in Odyssey to find, and you trip over them. There's so many, but that's okay. And I like the variety of the different moons you have to find in Odyssey. So
Yep.
it's good.
yeah. I will say, like, as 2D Mario's go, none of them have ever been disappointing. Like, not disappointingly bad, I should say.
Right.
None of them I've ever thought were bad. There were actually 4 new Super Mario games. There was the original, there was 2 on the 3DS, then there was New Super Mario Brothers Wii and New Super Mario Brothers U. So
Mm.
there was one on basically each of Nintendo's flagship platforms during that phase. And the only one I ever put real time into was the first one on the DS, and I
Mm.
didn't even beat that one.
Yeah. And like
I didn't care. Like, I wanted to. I played
Yeah.
the crap out of the versus mode with my brother. We had a blast just running around smashing each other. It was a great time, but we didn't get into the other stuff, unfortunately. And
Just
and
just
then
like
that's
okay.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, this one feels like something I will want to go back and finish, right? And I know you're complaining that we didn't put as much time into it as you did, but I want to play through this with my kid and my wife. That's
Yeah.
the idea, is we want to play it as a family. So that's why I didn't just barrel through the whole game this
Right.
week,
And to be
because
fair,
I want
Wolf
that.
started this whole thing because he
Yeah.
played it at the WonderCon, or at the video game
Nintendo.
con.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Nintendo Live. I'm playing with the
Nintendo.
coin
Yeah.
right now.
Nintendo Fest Live 2023.
Right.
Right
Which
next
we
to
had the video
Pat.
here on YouTube. If anybody wants to see that footage. Actually, I should have
Yeah,
had that
Yeah.
running in the background. Is what I should have done.
I know, right?
that's all right. But
So
It's okay.
that gave a good idea of what this game was. I feel like that demo at Nintendo Live gave a better feel of what this game is than the first hour and a half of Mario Wonder
Mm.
out of the box. Because it's like at that demo, it was like, here's the first level, and then here's a level that's kind of like a few stages in,
It was
and
curated.
then
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it was
Sure.
like, here's another couple levels from the first area, and then here's a cave level where you have the drill hat. I don't know how far I am from the drill hat, but I haven't seen it yet. But I thought that drill hat power up was really cool, really interesting. The fact that you can jump into the ceiling and
Mm.
just float around in the ceiling like that was really cool to me. And
Mm.
use it to get under certain blocks or areas and find
Yep.
secrets. It was a really cool idea. The bubble thing I'm not familiar with. I haven't seen that yet, but
I just
Yeah.
got that one. I just
Yeah,
got that one.
it was the
And
last one I got to.
it's interesting. I don't know that it's great. It's interesting.
It's like the fire flower, but the only difference from the fire flower is that you can bounce off the bubbles, so you can use it as a second
Uh,
jump to get to areas.
And you can get things through walls with it.
Right? Yes, that's true. You can kill enemies through walls or grab coins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Wolf, I know you did some of the multiplayer at Nintendo Live. Jake, have you done any of the multiplayer?
Yeah. So I wanted to say that that's a good segue, Wolf, then to multiplayer because that was the big thing with New Mario Brothers on the Wii was the 4-player co-op. In that one, it was interesting. It was frantic because players had collision and you could pick each other up. And as I learned quickly with my children trying to play this game, get thrown into pits constantly. It was fun, but you got nowhere fast. Like it's a very difficult game to play in
Yeah.
co-op.
So
Um,
so it
in
was
Wonder, it's a
Little
bit
Big
different.
World. It was Little Big World when
Yeah, Little
you
Big
and your
Planet.
brother,
Yeah.
Little Big Planet, when you and your brother are constantly at odds with each other, and you're like, no,
Yeah.
just pull the, no, just damn it.
It's frustrating, yeah. But so Mario Wonder takes it a little bit differently, and I'm not sure if I like it more or not. I mean, it's not as frantically crazy as the other game was, but now you don't have collision with the other players. You can play local co-op, and it is absolutely fun to play local co-op. By having the Yoshis and Nabbit as not taking damage, it makes it more of a fun experience for younger kids who are playing with older kids or their parents. So there's less dying happening. They also took a cue from the other Mario Brother games, modern 2D games, where if you die, you don't come back as a bubble, but you're as a ghost. And the other players, you don't even have to let the players snap your bubble. You just touch the player and you come back to life. A little bit easier to get through when you have younger kids playing, which I appreciate because I can actually beat the game now. It's possible. Still very difficult for young kids, but at least it's possible to beat. But there's also the online multiplayer, which is a bit different. It's a bit weird. It's not like Mario Maker where you're joining a group of players and you're playing a stage together live. You're playing stages while online, and the ghosts of other players will show up in your world. And they're live. You see them, or at least as far as I know, they're still live. And it's
Yeah.
neat because those puzzle levels that I talked about earlier, I got stuck on one, and I was just happily messing with online. I had online turned on. I went into a puzzle level, and you see the ghosts of 3 other players, and you can't see the blocks that they're finding, but you see them jumping, so you know they got something in that location. So I'll naturally go to that location they're hanging out in, and I'm finding things, or they're helping you by dropping standees like signs to point to say, "Hey, there's something hidden here." And where it really came to a head for
That's
me
what
with the
those are
online,
for. Okay.
there's one of the Star World special world stages. I think it's called something to the beat, and there's this music, and on the beat a platform appears and then it slowly disappears, and it's a series of platforms coming to the music, and the music starts slow and then gets faster and faster and faster, and you're going platform to platform to platform, 5 blocks, 5 blocks, 2 blocks, 2 blocks. Eventually you're wall jumping off 1 block pieces to get to the top. It's one of the most difficult levels in the game, also one of the most fun levels in the game. But playing that with online turned on and seeing other players dying next to you as you're all struggling together to try to get to the end of it, you can't help each other really. Although when I got to the top, I dropped a standee so they could spawn there if they wanted to, although I don't think they did. But just the struggle together online was interesting, and I thought the ghost way of doing things was a fun way of doing it
So
online.
this is Misery Loves Company, the game.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say it's Gloria Stefan saying the rhythm is gonna get you.
There's quite a few rhythm levels in the game. Yeah. The other thing you can do with online multiplayer, if you're playing with friends, is you can start a race. You can drop a flag at the beginning of the stage, and it triggers a race, a countdown, start line, the whole bit, and you can race with friends through a stage. Neat stuff like that. So online is not what I expected. It's not like online co-op. It's not the same experience as playing on the couch with your friends or your kids. But they did it in a pretty seamless way that was actually still fun. Like, do you need online for Mario Wonder? Nah, but I mean that it's there and it works, and it's subtly that it works well. I think is neat, and they don't hit you over the head with it. Like, in Nintendo games lately, anytime you enable an online, they have to give you that goddamn speech warning you about being online activity, and all that kind of crap. Like Animal Crossing does it every single time you want to go to another island and it's multiplayer related. You get the speech. They don't really have that here. You just kind of turn it on and you go. Like it's a lot more seamless with the online experience than they have done in a long
Let's
time with the Mario
go.
game.
So
Yeah.
it talks to you less than the Caterpillar Prince does when you
Or
go
the
on.
damn flowers.
The only time he annoyed me, and I'll be honest, the only time he ever got on my nerves is doing the special world stages. There's one where you're a ball and you're rolling through a stage, and it's freaking hard. I spent 50
Spoilers.
lives in the damn thing. Spoilers, whatever. You're rolling through level. It's Mario. What do you want? Deep plot? And you're rolling through the stage. I died like at least 50 times. And when you run out of lives in this game, much like modern 2D Mario games, you get a game over screen. You don't lose any progress. There's a save. You're saving. You lose some purple coins and you get 5 lives. But the caterpillar gives you a speech telling you, we believe in you. You're doing so great. Yada yada. I got sick of that speech. I wanted to strangle him. After the 5th time, I lost 5 lives on that damn world. Other than that, he's fine. He doesn't really talk too much. I'll tell you what I even like over something like Zelda. As much as I like Tears of the Kingdom, what really bugged me about that game is whenever you beat a dungeon, you had a cutscene and some dialogue, but it was almost entirely the same for each of the dungeons. I don't know if it's because you could do them in any order or what, but it felt like the same dialogue just repeated 4 times. At least in this, when you finish a world and you get that faraway view of the castle being restored, much like Mario World, where you see the castle crumble. You get a little speech bubble of text about continuing the story, and that's what it reminded me of. Mario World. You have a few lines of text of story, and you kind of move on. It's very brief, and I thought it was fine. I didn't find it annoying at all.
The little segmented worm dude.
Yeah, he's not that bad, honestly.
Prince
The only time he
Florian.
talks is Florian, and he's a prince, sir. Just show him the due respect the majesty deserves.
Yeah.
There's
That's not-
Florian
look.
in the water.
Listen, I saw Prince in concert live once. He did not look like that.
Wow.
And he's the
Caterpillar,
only
formerly
prince,
known as Prince. Yeah.
and he is the only prince that I will give any respect to.
Pedal rain, pedal rain.
I do love how Nintendo is leading into this idea that in these Mario Kingdoms, there's no king or queen. They're just princes and princesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mario 3
Royalty
had
is a
kings,
lie.
didn't they?
It's a sham.
Mario 3 did have kings, but they've
Yeah.
not been back. I don't think.
And
You're right.
and
They've been
Smurpurge.
usurped.
Smurpurge had a king.
Smurpage?
Super
Oh.
Mario RPG.
4-bar
Yeah,
wonder. Yeah.
didn't it?
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did.
Cloud
It
Kid,
did.
4-bar
And,
wonder. Super
and in
Mario
fact-
and the 4 bars.
yeah, the 4 bars of audio.
Yeah.
And it had a prince, an unknown prince that sucked as a character.
Well,
Mm.
you'll be glad to know
Mm.
he's not making a cameo in Mario Wonder.
Good.
There's lots of cameos in Super Mario Wonder, right? But nothing to do with Mario RPG, which is probably for the best. All right, I like this game. I said I like this game a lot, and the reason I say it's a top 5 Mario game, possibly for me personally, maybe a top 3. I'm debating, is that we haven't had a 2D Mario this good in a decade. We really haven't. Like the closest we got this feeling I have was 3D World, and that was not a 2D Mario game. It had aspects of 2D, but it was a very much a hybrid of 2D and 3D. And
When
the levels, as fun as they are not nearly as clever or
Wolf did
interesting
not
as
appreciate
Wonder.
that at all.
When did
I-
when did the one that you can grow big and destroy the
That was
when
the
did
3DS
That
one.
was new Super. Yeah, that was the DS one. New
Oh,
Super Mario
DS. You're
Brothers.
right.
Yeah,
and how
that
long
was the
ago
one
was
that
that?
introduced the Mega Mushroom and the
Yeah.
Mini Mushroom, and
Because I like that one a
Gosh.
lot.
Was that 15 years ago?
I was like, man, it
At
was a
least 10.
while ago. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It was. Hold on, give me a sec. Right here, I can check my memory palace. It was 2006.
Okay.
Mario Palace.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give you 10 years. I'll give you 10
Yeah.
years.
So since then, they realized that, I mean, there's been other Mario games, like 2D Mario games, but I find them been very bland, and they haven't really added. Like I said, I didn't finish the one with Squirrel Mario. I like platforming games. I love platforming games, and I couldn't sit through a Mario game, which should say something. So I don't know. I think Mario Wonder has enough callbacks to the earlier games on the SNES and the NES. Like for me, this is the spiritual successor to World. You could call this Super Mario 5, and I think I would have been okay with that, knowing that World was course 4 and this would be 5. This is like a Metroid Dread situation to me. Dread was a fantastic 2D Metroid game, and it is a direct sequel to Super Metroid or Metroid Fusion or Super Metroid on SNES. This feels the same to me. Right?
I noticed you threw Crying Mario, the side scroller, on the ground.
Which one? Oh, that's
Super
not-
Mario World 2, my friend.
No, it's only Super Mario World in North America. Japan, they don't call it that. They just call it Yoshi's Story, don't they? I think.
They call it Crybaby Island.
Yeah, but like that's not a Mario game. That's a Yoshi game. That's
That
it's
game.
like considering the Wario game as part of the Mario World canon. It's not. They're side stories. I'm talking
game
2D
haunts
Mario
my
games that star
dreams.
Mario. Yeah, the Haunted Dream. No, the Crying Baby Mario. But to be fair, the Crying Mario mechanic, popping the bubble, they use that in multiplayer in the later games. They've definitely refined it so it's not annoying anymore.
Are you crying
But-
while you're a ghost, or
No, you're not crying as a
Oh,
ghost.
okay, there you go.
You're just floating.
You're
So
right.
I
You're
wish-
wailing. You're wailing as a ghost.
Oh, I don't think so.
It is
The game is
almost
great.
Halloween. I'm just
The
saying.
game is great. I want you guys to play more of it, and it's great to play as a stage here, stage there, 5
Yeah.
minutes here, 10 minutes there. It's great for that. It's meant for that. The stages are short, they're fun, they're all fairly unique when you're playing through them, and they're great that way. So I just powered through it because I got hooked on the harder ones. That's all.
I plan on continuing. I really do.
Yeah.
Like I said, I actually like this game. But is it my favorite Mario? No, I don't think it's. I mean, if you include the 3D Marios, it's down the list a ways. if it's a 2D Mario list, I don't know. It could be top 5 for me as well.
It can only be top 5 because there's like 4 Marios.
No, there's more than that. There's Mario Land. There's
I
also Mario Land 2 on Game Boy, which is actually pretty good considering, right?
see. I've not played those ones too much. I played some Land. I never beat it. I never touched 2. I've meant to, just haven't.
I didn't play
I
2
didn't
either.
get a Game Boy until '97, so I was kind of late to the party on that one. Maybe '98. Um, but yeah, I hadn't I didn't like Super Mario 3D World. Like, I played it all the way
Really?
through, hoping it would get
Okay.
really good. It was okay, but thinking back on it, like, I can't remember anything about it.
Did
There's
you
a
play
couple of
something in the
stages I
hope?
remember. The levels that I remember are the levels that pissed me off in that game. That's it.
I
Whereas
remember
in
the
Mario
bosses. Yeah.
World, I remember all sorts of stages
Yeah.
because they were all
Yeah,
there were a lot of fun level designs and ideas in that.
for sure.
And I haven't seen so much uh interesting level design in a 2D or 2D-ish Mario game since then, right? They've kind of dropped the ball a little bit with all of them. They're never bad, but they're just never
Right.
as good as World to me. And then uh this one seems like it might actually kind of live up to that, but I do feel like it's taking a while to get there.
Right. And I can respect that. But I really want you to play Mario World again or Mario 3.
Mhm.
But Mario World, especially with the special stages and how all those special stages had a very unique theme to them when you're going through
Sure.
them. They're all
Sure.
difficult, but they have a unique theme.
Yeah.
And compare it to what they're doing in Mario Wonder, and you can definitely see the correlation in the two. It really feels like they wanted to make Wonder a sequel to that game, that style of gameplay. It's almost like they're forgetting the whole new Super Mario Brothers
See, I'm
timeline, if it's
okay
a
with
thing.
that.
Me too. Yeah. Same
Like,
thing.
I do like that they're actually taking a chance with the 2D games now
Sure.
and
Sure.
doing
Yeah.
something unique, because that's
Yeah.
the 3D Mario games are always, let's just throw something at the wall and make the players deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Mario 64 was, I mean, that's basically just a 3D Super Mario game because that's all they had the tech for at the time. And that's not to say it's bad. It's definitely dated, but it was good at the time. It's aged fairly well for the most part. But then you get to GameCube and they're like Super Mario Sunshine, Flood. Why? Why is this game
Oof.
Yeah.
all about your water ectoplasm or your water proton pack instead of running and jumping? The best
You,
parts of Sunshine were the bonus stages where you didn't have Flood.
you
Yeah.
know the part in the Batman movie, the Michael Keaton one, where there's a newscast going on and Joker like takes and moves his hand across and like moves. That's how I feel about Sunshine. Like we shouldn't talk about Sunshine.
But even Odyssey,
There
like
is no sunshine.
I liked Odyssey quite a bit, but the whole hat mechanic of taking over mobs, there's only so many mobs in the game that you can control, and at some point it kind of felt repetitive. And I loved Odyssey, don't get me wrong, but at least with this and the Wonder mechanic, there's enough original stuff coming in through that mechanic, and it's bite sized enough that it's fast hits, and I liked it, and it's a great pick up and play game. So I do hope. I mean, we're running
Yeah.
along the episode, but I hope you guys do give it a full chance. And you'll probably come around to why I think it's one of the best Mario games in the franchise. You may not agree right now, and I understand that because I was you when I was only an hour, 2 hours in. But after beating the game now, and like I was like it was hour three ish when I started getting the special stages and the hidden stuff and the callbacks to earlier games, that it's like I see what you're doing here, and this game
Really
is pretty good.
unlocks after 7 hours.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
about to
it's not Sea of
challenge.
Stars.
Yeah, okay. I'm about to challenge Jake.
Look, I put
Challenge.
another hour into the game. I'm 5 hours into Sea of Stars, and I'm sorry it has not clicked for me yet. It's boring.
Jake, there's a level
boring.
in Sea of Stars where the Boo not only gets big and sings opera at you,
Yeah,
but he also rides a tricycle in Sea of Stars. You just have to
know.
get there.
Sea of
there's
Stars
a
is the new Elden
charm.
Ring.
Right. There's a charm to. I liked Elden Ring, asshole. So we like the same games, just not Sea of Stars. There's a charm and
If
a
you're not
soul to
giving it a
Mario
shot.
Wonder. There's a charm to Mario Wonder that has not been in a Mario game in a while. Like we'd only touched on briefly, but they spent a lot of time. There's an interview with Tezuka, one of the designers between this game, about the extra attention and detail they put into the animation system in this game. The previous newer modern 2D Mario games, they were kind of limited on the amount of frames and the animations they were using. This game, they went full hog on the animations. I think offline Sinister, you had said it felt maybe a little bit sluggish, not as responsive as original Mario, and I get that. That's also, I think, a Switch thing too. But there's definitely a more charm to the animations. Like one of the enemies is Skedaddler. It's like a gopher, and the look of terror on his face as he flees from Mario and he spits turnips at you.
I love it.
It's so good. It's
throwing
funny.
them. He's spitting turnips.
Yeah,
spitting
That's so fucking bizarre.
Uh-huh.
But it's funny.
Have you gotten to the platform birds yet that shoot platform bullets out of their nose?
But that just doesn't. None of that seems weird to me. It seems like Mario.
And the hoppalos.
Yeah,
It's just another day
hippos,
in Mario World where you walk outside and you're like, oh, these hippos are gonna fill holes, and I'm gonna use them to literally spring across the map. I'm gonna go get milk while I'm at it. It's such a casual day in Mario's world that nobody thinks about it.
Yeah,
It's
Mario,
just so
like,
weird.
if you go back, Mario 2 had little birds riding around on flying carpets. It had masks that just chase you down if you got their keys.
Yeah.
But Mario 2
it had snakes.
It's just a day.
But
It's
Mario
just a day.
2
that shot bullets out of its mouth.
It wasn't a Mario game.
So here's the thing, though. Here's the
It
thing.
was, though.
It
I
was
hate
eventually a
that
Mario
argument.
game. Mario
It
2
was at
had
first, too.
Mario 2 had the sub levels where the screen is all black shadowy. That's in Mario Wonder. There's multiple places where you go into a shadow world of the stage, but they change up a little bit in that you can actually become 10 feet tall and go up and down and shrink up and down. But it's the same sub-level design as Mario 2, and I fucking love it. It's another callback to the NES and the SNES games. It's great. This is definitely
First
a
off,
Mario game.
Let me step on Sinistar's statement there that Mario 2 is not a Mario game.
Doki Doki.
It was originally
Doki
it was no. Before it was Doki Doki Panic, it was an experimental engine to make a more vertical Mario game.
Yeah.
And then it became Doki Doki Panic. So it was Mario before Doki Doki.
I get that, but then they took Doki Doki Panic and went, oh, US is going to hate Mario 2. Quick, reskin and maybe change a little bit of the abilities and go.
And it was good.
And Mario
I love
2
Mario
is
2.
one of my favorite Mario games.
Yeah.
It's a good
Doki
one of the few
Doki
that I've
Panic,
beaten.
the US skin.
It's still a good game.
2 is, it's Super Mario Brothers 2 / Super Mario Brothers USA, whatever you want to call it, is one of my top 5 Mario games. All right.
Yeah.
And like the characters in that game, Shy Guys, Birdo, the Ninjas, I mean, a lot of those are in other Mario games throughout the last 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's Mario Party,
but
Mario Kart.
I'm saying those came out of
oh yeah, for sure.
Those were created from Doki Doki Panic and pulled into Mario.
Yeah, but they're Mario now. They've been incorporated in the canon. It's not like if Star Wars can retcon their Jedi Force powers, I'm sure that we can do it for Mario this one game. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
They are in the TV show. They're canon.
Yeah, there you go.
But I do need to say, like, there's been weird stuff in every single one. Mario 3 had you a Tanuki suit where you could turn into a stone statue and avoid damage, right?
Explain that one.
An airship in every world. It had
that weren't connected, by the way.
Giant Land, right?
Mhm.
Where everything was just 4 times bigger.
Which is cool.
Which is cool as hell.
It was really neat. But every single Mario game has been weird. I feel like it kind of stopped being so weird with the new Super Mario Brothers games.
Yes.
It got very samey, and that was the problem. They were like, well, this has worked, so let's keep doing it. But people like the new, interesting kind of throw you off a little bit. Like, what's new, right? Like Mario World, right off the bat, it was like, you want new and weird? Giant bullet bill flying at you from the side of the screen instead of just the little ones. Oh crap! Run, duck!
And the football players.
Yeah, the football players. It had
and the dinosaurs that you squish twice.
Yeah, Rex. It had
Yes.
those.
Yeah.
It had the Mecha Koopas at the end, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it had Blargs, the lava monster that comes out of the lava.
All right, you're right.
It-
I actually love blargs. I love the lava levels in World. I love them so much. Riding
So
the
they
little like skulls and having to dodge the blargs. I
Yeah,
love it.
it's great.
as much as I dislike Sunshine, at least it did that, like all the other Mario, like the 3D Mario games tend to do. It threw weird new stuff at you. And that's what the new Super Mario games kind of didn't do.
Hmm.
And maybe that's a hazard of trying to make it a more accessible 4-player game. I don't know. But I do feel like Wonder has kind of brought that sense back to
Yeah.
Mario and is making it a lot more interesting. And it's weird to me that they're at Nintendo Live, the big statement about it was like, "Oh, this is the first new 2D Mario game in over 10 years." I'm like, not over
You
10
sure about
years.
that?
Well,
It's
new, kind of, because it actually feels
I mean,
new, right? Yeah.
unless you're lumping in all the new Super Mario games into the first one, in which
Yeah.
case, okay, yeah, but there's been 2D Mario games. You can't say that. But new Super Mario World, or not new Super Mario,
Wonder.
Super Mario Wonder definitely feels like it has that sense of wonder that I had going into Galaxy, that I had going into Odyssey. And honestly, I feel like I'm going to like this a lot better than Odyssey. Odyssey got kind of boring to me by the end. Like I still did
Yeah.
everything in it because it was a Mario game. I was, already neck deep. Why not the last 8 inches, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah. Mario
It
Odyssey,
sounds like
I do
you've
like it.
measured your head.
Right.
nah, it's
Mario
just
Odyssey.
random number. I don't know. Assumption.
I love Mario Odyssey, but I think you're right. By the end, it kind of wore its welcome and is almost too long. And I was worried about the length of Mario Wonder because I mean, these games are expensive now. They are. But 12 hours for Mario Wonder, I think was more than fine. I didn't 100% it. There's still the special world stages. I don't know if it adds anything at the end of the game. There's still the idea if I want to play through the game with the badges to challenge myself. There's a bunch of badges we didn't even talk about that I don't want to spoil. So I think there's enough there to justify 15 to 20 hours. For me, that's more than good enough length for a Mario game. Because yeah, I don't want a 40-hour Odyssey again because it kind of gets too much at the end. So right.
I do look forward to beating this. I look forward to playing this with the family, and then I'm sure once we've beaten it with them, I will go back and do all the nitty gritty of everything because
Yeah.
that's how I play 2D Mario games when I enjoy them. And then I do want to share one little story because I was talking to my brother the other day on his day off, and he has been cracking out on this for the last week. And I don't often hear him rant and rave about video games anymore. Like he'll be like, "I bought a game. What do you think of it? I haven't played it yet." All the time, all
Okay.
the
That's my
time.
that's my Steam
And
library.
Yeah, exactly.
and he bought this one, and he's been playing the crap out of it. And he does the online thing because he just plays by himself. So he plays and sees the ghosts of other people. And he was doing a puzzle. He told me the story about it. He was doing a puzzle stage, and he and another player were trying to show a third player how to solve the puzzle. They were trying to drop their little standees and point them in the right direction, and the guy just didn't seem to be getting it. They were
Hmm.
both like doing the crouch thing, like, "Oh, come on, man!" Like they were both so sad for the third player that they couldn't seemingly help.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
But I
It's
mean,
great. Yeah.
that's that's an interesting community experience that you've never gotten in a Mario game before. And yeah, it
Yeah.
requires having Nintendo Online, but eh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's a great one. I hope you guys will. I mean, is it my game of the
Oh,
year? I don't know, but it's up there. Like I'm gonna have a tough choice deciding game of the year. I think any other year it very well could have been a game of the year for me, but this year's
I
been
think you're
so
not
stacked.
giving the real game of the year the real chance it deserves. I'll finish Mario Wonder when Jake finishes Sea of Stars.
Yeah, we'll
Fingers
see. I
crossed.
did put
That
more time
almost
into it.
sounded like a drum roll, and I'll take it.
All right. Any more comments on Mario Wonder before we move on to the
Well,
business we got to attend to?
I just want to say I do plan on continuing it because I honestly like it. Do I love it? Not yet, but I honestly do like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Jake has
Good.
got me interested enough in some of the stuff that's further in that I will I will continue to play it. Besides how boring I am with it right now.
I want ghost houses. I want ghost houses. I got to
They're
get to at
there.
least a ghost
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say getting to see the hub world and giving the player a sort of idea of what kind of worlds are ahead, I'm intrigued.
All right, so Mario Wonder, hopefully have some converts in a couple months from now. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic game for those who have not played it yet. This is a no-brainer if you have a Switch. And like I know it's everybody wants to be careful with their money these days, but I think Mario Wonder is worth the buy. I think it's worth the money. It's not something I would have said about Mario Party recently or the new Mario RPG, which I'm very much on the fence and worried about. But Mario Wonder was a no-brainer to pick up for me. So hopefully people give that one a shot. But before we go, we have some business to attend to. We have our Press B's Top 100. These are the top 100 games we think you need to play, and according to us. And we're well on almost there I think we're above 70 entries on our list. And eventually what we're going to do is when we get to 100 or so, we're going to have a couple episodes to kind of whittle down that list to like the best games to play in retro. So we each have picked a game to nominate to that top 100 list this week. Who wants to start? How about Chard, you go? Because our games are similar, as we discussed
Fair.
it before we went live. So you
They're
go.
even
What's
from
your
the same
pick?
system. So,
Yes.
So I was going through our top 100 list and had noticed that the system that I grew up with had not been getting a ton of love. There's been a few games that we've selected on it. A lot of the more basic stuff. There we go. Do a little Sinistar bingo card there. It's right there, hanging out. I'm gonna go with my favorite RPG on the Sega Genesis and pick Phantasy Star 4. Phantasy Star 4 had a lot of really cool aspects to it. It's got a pretty dope story. It brings your characters into a futuristic type world. And out of all the Fantasy Stars, it's the most not jank one that's out there.
Yeah.
The combination attacks that you can do, it is kind of like predestined to get into like the Chrono Trigger tech combinations and kind of, I don't want to say it paved the way or anything because there were other games that were doing it, but it's just another example of like combining one person's magic ability and their tech ability and making something cool out of it. And there was a lot of discoverability in that, like finding out what you can do and what you can create out of it. The sprites are really neat. I know a lot of people like the fighting scene where it's the back of the characters, but I thought a lot of the boss sprites were really neat. The final
Amazing.
boss
Yeah.
character was really cool, and you get to fly from planet to planet and drive some really cool spaceships around. And it's Fantasy Star. It's Fantasy Star for those who know Fantasy Star. It's easily the best Fantasy Star out of the RPG series before anything went online. So I go Fantasy Star 4 for the Sega Genesis.
I want to add to that. I mean, it was the first Fantasy Star I played. I got that when I was a teenager, and it's the best one. And you don't need to play 1 through 3. I mean, you should. I mean, 2 is actually quite a good game, but 4 stands on its own just fine. The story is way ahead in the future. There's callbacks to the first and second game, but you don't need to play them if you don't want to. I love Phantasy Star 4 because when people say SNES had all the best JRPGs, I mean, they're not wrong, but this Genesis did have a lot of great stuff, and this is
There's
one
a
of the
few
best
gems in
JRPGs
there.
I played. There are some gems. There's one more that I'll talk about after. But there's definitely RPGs on the Genesis, and that game is good. Plus, the music is just fucking
Oh yeah.
amazing. That
The
ending
music in
track
Fantasy Star 4
slaps.
is super banger. They've
Yeah.
got some good tunes. And I make fun of the Genesis sound chip all the time because it just needs more farty bass or next town with the dog barking. But all in all, honestly, Fantasy Star 4's soundtrack is pretty killer for being on the Sega
Yeah.
Genesis altogether.
Yeah. That's a good pick. Wolf, how about you? What's your top 100 nominee?
All right. I'm gonna go with I think this is not on the list, right? Yeah, let's go with Fable.
Ooh, I love Fable.
That's
Does that
Xbox.
count?
Did that come
Yeah,
out?
That is
Did that come out before 2005?
I think
I believe it did.
it did.
It's gonna be close.
Let me
I think
double
he's right.
check.
I don't know if
It's
we
gonna
have
be
an
on the
Xbox
cusp.
game
Yeah,
yet.
September 2004.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
Fable.
right under the gun.
Okay.
Oh, I
all
love
right.
Fable.
So
I love
Fable,
Slides
because
in.
this was like one of those few games, like one of those early games where they really tried to make choices and morality matter.
Mhm.
And we can argue all day about how effective it was, But at the end of the day, like, it did have an effect on the way the story unfolded to a degree, and it had an effect on the things you could and couldn't do. So, if your character was evil, maybe you didn't feel like the most evil character other than how your avatar looked, but there were certain things you couldn't do because you were evil. There were certain people who didn't like you because you were evil, so forth. So it had an effect in that way. And the game story, like, it constantly trickled in and just made you want to experience more. And it gave you a pretty lively world, particularly for the time in Xbox.
Mhm.
So I do think Fable is probably one of the last great games from Peter Molyneux, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I
one of those guys who's like visionary, but then also just goes wrong in a lot of games, especially recently. But he also did Black and White, I think, which was a very unique and creative game, if I
the
remember
Black and
right.
Mhm.
White, he
So
did Spore too, didn't he? I think
No,
no,
that
that
was
was
Will
Will
Wright.
Wright.
That was Will
that was
Wright, yeah.
right. No, I love
Spore's
Black
another
and White.
one. Yeah.
Black and White's crazy. Love throwing people around like God. Anyways,
Ah!
no, Fable. I was so excited when this game was announced because I love games that test your morality. I
Mhm.
love the aspect of being able to go completely dark side or be the nicest person in the world. And what I really, really appreciated, and I'm such a fucking homer for this stuff, is the physical appearance that changes you. It's the same thing in KOTOR. When you play Knights of the Old Republic and you're going dark side, it shows up on your character's face. I
Yeah.
love that shit. You grew little fucking horns in Fable if you were getting super evil,
Mhm.
or if you were like super nice, you had a halo that would show up every now and then from certain angles. And it's cool. And I remember the doors were like the secret doors that you talk to, and you had to do certain aspects in the game. And one of them was like you have to be like all the way bad. And I was working on a good character, and I'm a completionist, so I wanted to finish it. And I was like, totally torn. I'm like, I don't want to go kill this whole village just so I can get inside this goddamn door, you know?
Wait,
But that
you don't want to be Mario and
no, I
break
don't
all
want
the
to be Mario
blocks?
and break all the blocks. No, but
Just
the
building a
fact that
ghost house, man.
I was the fact that it actually tested my own personal morality in this game was really cool and a really like neat
Mhm.
aspect of the game. I think Fable is awesome and agree it should belong on this list.
All right. Gosh.
Well,
God, I'm so happy you picked that. I'm so happy you picked that one. That's
funny
awesome.
funny enough, I almost picked a game that was all about virtue/morality, but I picked something else today. Um, so it's kind of funny that almost could have been a segue. Um, so my game, because we don't have a representation for it at this point, is one of the SSI Gold Box games. So the top down isometric, like true isometric, the walls are all angled, the sprites on a board.
The original Dungeon Crawler RPGs, right?
Yeah. So I am going with Champions of Krynn, which was the first in the second Gold Box series. It was based on the Dragonlance
That's right.
D&D series.
Dragonlance.
And what was really cool is, unlike a lot of just kind of the boilerplate RPGs, this actually brought in the aspects from Dragonlance, where you could create, for those that have read the Dragonlance, you could create a Kender character, and or a Solamnic Knight, or whatever. And there are quests that are only able to be done by those types of characters. This was pretty new. Um, it also brought in some crazy aspects from Dragonlance as well, like the Draconians, which not like human Draconians. These were dragon humans. When they died, certain types of them would explode in the books, in the stories, and they would explode in the game as well.
That's awesome.
So it is the first in a series of 3. So there was Champions of Krynn, then there was Dark Queen of Krynn, or sorry, Death Knights of Krynn, and then Dark Queen of Krynn. So all 3 of them make up a set. I looked it up. Whether or not you like IGN, Champions of Krynn was number 10 on their list of top 11 Dungeons and Dragons games
Huh.
of all time in
Mm,
2014.
Interesting.
wow.
So um we hadn't had a representative from the SSI top-down isometric gold box, and I really feel like there are some absolute bangers. I mean,
Yeah.
really, honestly, if you pick up any of them, if you want the old style RPGs, there's a whole D&D series. If you want future, there are gold box Buck Rogers games. I mean, so yeah.
Was Neverwinter Nights one of the gold box games?
I think
One of
it
the
was
original ones?
after. I think it was because I think it was wasn't that BioWare, not SSI.
Before BioWare, there was an old school Neverwinter Nights game before the BioWare game came out. So
I'd
I'm trying
have
to
to
remember if
look
that
that
was
up.
gold
I
box.
never played it. I never
That's
played
okay.
it.
I have not played the games that you've played. I've not played the old PC RPGs. I wanted to. They're definitely on my list. I
Yeah.
want to check out. And my thing with D&D, because I grew up on second ed D&D, and I always felt the default. I think it's Greyhawk is
Mhm.
the main for that one. It's kind of boring. But it wasn't until I read the Dragonlance books. I haven't read all of them, but I read a fair number of them. And the world they build, and it's got its roots in D&D, but the pantheon, the magic, the themes, the
Yeah.
characters, the various orders. There's so much lore there. It's really well done, and the fact that they captured all that, like the exploding enemy, the exploding draconians, is
Yeah.
cool. The fact that they got the Kinder in there as well. They're not just hobbits or halflings; they are quite different, and
Right.
they feel differently. If
Right.
they've captured that
Right.
kind of feel, that's really awesome to see in a game from that period. So I'm glad that game exists. I
Yep.
would like to check that one out. I love the
Yep.
Dragonlance world. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we ran
Yeah, by
pretty
the
long
way,
on this.
it's
Go ahead.
it is
Did-
worth mentioning that the gold box games are available on Steam apparently. So
and GOG if you want them DRM free.
DRM free, yeah.
GOG.com. Jake, did you give yours? Did I miss
No,
it?
No,
didn't.
No, I didn't. You're right. Thank you. You're right. I could have had this for next
Wow.
week. You're
I
right.
thought he
Yeah,
was
I
going to
know.
do a segue into his.
Well, there are probably 2 RPGs on the Genesis that are really quite good. They're really great, and one of my favorite games in the system. One is definitely Phantasy Star 4. The other one is Shining Force 2. Shining Force 1 is good. Don't get me wrong. But Shining Force 2 took that the seed of the idea of the tactical battles and the storytelling from 1, and 2 just went nuts with it, with a whole overworld and a really climactic story of a town being destroyed, and the people, refugees, fleeing from that town and trying to find life on another continent, only to be chased by an evil faction. Really fantastic story, really fantastic
Don't
music,
forget
right from the
to take your
opening to the
Prometheus.
battle theme. Sorry.
Don't forget to take your Prometheus.
Yes, there's that too. Like all of the story and the items and stuff is just really tied together really well. There's like, what, I charge you know more than me. How many characters are in Shining Force 2? Like 40 at least?
There's a lot. I don't know the exact count, but there is
Yeah.
damn near like up to
Yeah.
20.
And while like
characters.
some of them are in archetypes or character classes, like you still have centaurs, birdmen, and a bunch of unique characters like a phoenix, robot,
Tanks,
wolf guy, tank
phoenix,
guy for
yeah.
some reason. Like it's much like
Yeah.
Phantasy Star in that just a
Peter.
wild setting. Peter's the phoenix, I think, right?
He is.
It's just a wild amount of
He's
characters to play
also-
around with.
He's also the one that carried most of my game.
He's a very powerful character. But
Yeah,
Shining
he is.
Force 2 is great in that, like, I know people who didn't have a Genesis, they kept saying, well, Fire Emblem is a great tactics game. I could never get into Fire Emblem because I didn't feel like you had enough control over each individual character in a battle. In Shining Force 2, you pick the spells that they're using, and that was all the difference for me in Shining Force compared to Fire Emblem. I've played the newer Fire Emblems games, and they're not bad, but I still go back to Shining Force 2 as this is what a tactics game should be. And that's why I think I like Final Fantasy Tactics so much, because they had the ability to pick all the abilities used in combat. Shining Force 2 is also just very slick. The UI has a satisfying click. There's like a crossway of attacks, spells, items, whatever. And just as you flipping through all 30 of your characters, excuse me, as you flip through all your characters and that click, 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 as you go through battle, it just, everything about that game is nostalgia for me, and it plays so well. I played it recently after I watched Chard doing the Chivos for it. I had to go spin it myself. I did not get very far in it, but what I played was very memorable, and I do love that game quite a bit. So Shining Force 2 is definitely one for me, and everybody should play that one.
So every single game on our top 100 today was an RPG.
Oh, there you go.
GGs.
yeah.
That was not
That's
planned.
a solid outing.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's good.
Speaking of RPGs, go play
All right.
Sea of Stars, Jake.
That was Cyberpunk.
You
I'll play
just-
Cyberpunk. That's an RPG.
You just
right?
have to get to the ghost house and Sea of Stars.
Yeah, I'll get into it.
Really
but give me
opens
that
up
airship.
74 hours in. Really,
Maybe
opens
not
up
high enough to
74
play Sea of Stars, Chard. Maybe I need a few more edibles.
Dude, Sea
All
of
right.
Stars makes more goddamn sense than Mario Wonder. Okay, I'm sorry, but you can't argue.
I'll never say Mario Wonder makes sense. It's a weird ass game, but it's a good game. Anyway, check out our podcast website, pressbtocancel.com. You can also find us on YouTube at pressbtocancel on YouTube, or any of your favorite audio podcast platforms, from iTunes to Amazon to Google Podcasts. If you are listening on YouTube or watching us on YouTube, we do video and you see our faces. Please do consider dropping a like and subscribe. It helps the channel out. We are trying to grow our subscriber base. And yeah, we have a large number of episodes available, both audio and video. Please check us out. Tell your friends. We do appreciate it. Otherwise, Chard, you still stream. Charbunk on twitch.tv. Check him out. He streams more than the rest of us do. We do occasionally put other content up on the YouTube channel from backyard.
It's been a rough month.
It has been.
It's been a hard
Backlog
month
Blitz.
to put content together.
Yeah, Wolf, you occasionally stream on Wednesdays.
For a reason.
Yeah, and Wolf, you occasionally stream on Wednesdays. The random games, which has been fun. And Sinister, you've been doing the Telltale games. So
I need to get back to it. Life has kicked me in the butt. I need to get back to it.
Me too. Yeah, I keep saying this since I moved, I would do more, and I'm going to. I'm going to.
Same.
Yes, same. But for now, we got the podcast every Friday. So anyway, we are Press Me to Cancel. Thanks very much.
My dad's a castle.